Hi, and welcome to episode 6. Today's topic is close to my heart and something I have been working with for a long time. Have you ever noticed how heavy something can feel, even when you know intellectually that it no longer serves you? A role you've outgrown, a belief you inherited and never consciously agreed to? A version of yourself that got you through a chapter that is now undeniably closed. You know it's time, your body knows it's time, and still the thought of releasing it brings something up. It could be fear, grief, guilt, or even a strange loyalty to the thing that once saved you. Today we talk about what it means to release those things. Not coldly or as an act of rejection, but with genuine gentleness and deep respect for what they gave you. For years, I equated holding on with strength. Letting go in my internal world meant failure. It meant the thing you were holding wasn't worth fighting for. It meant you gave up or lost. I held onto a work project long past the point where it was feeding me, not because it was going well, but because I had put so much of myself into it that releasing it felt like releasing a part of myself. I held onto an identity as someone who never needed help. I held onto expectations of what my life should look like by now, the house I should have, the relationship I should be in, the version of Asha who had it all together. And the weight of all of it sat quietly on my chest, making it harder to breathe and harder to move. Like trying to run while your arms are full of things. You can do it for a while, but eventually you have to ask, what am I actually gaining by holding all of this? I would like to share something very personal that I haven't said openly before, because I think it matters for this conversation about letting go. For most of my adult life, I earned well and I provided for myself and others. Money, in a very real way, represented security and capability. It was how I measured whether I was okay. It was also tied to a quiet belief that if I worked hard enough, earned well, and did everything right, things would stay steady. Then I went through a divorce, and it was a very dark and ugly time of my life. After that, something changed in me, and not in a way I could immediately name or understand. Money started to feel different. It was no longer just something that supported life. It became entangled with loss. It hadn't held my marriage together. It hadn't protected the life I thought I was building. It couldn't do the things I had perhaps unfairly expected it to do. For a while, I turned against it in my mind and carried frustration towards it, as though it had failed me and was part of what went wrong. I can see now that I gave it meaning it didn't actually have, but at the time, it felt very real. It took years for that to settle, years of slowly unpicking the story I had built around it. I had to learn to separate money from the emotions I had wrapped around it, to stop seeing it as either something that could fix everything or something that meant nothing at all. Eventually, it became simpler. Money is just money, neutral on its own. What matters is how I relate to it, what I attach to it, and what I choose to do with it now. I won't pretend it's simple, because letting go is one of those things that sounds clean and obvious in theory and is genuinely difficult in practice, especially when what you're releasing isn't something harmful or wrong, but something that genuinely mattered, something that was real. Sometimes it happens like setting something down you didn't realize you were gripping so tightly. There's an immediate lightness, a kind of relief that arrives before you even have time to think about it. The release feels clear and complete, and in that moment you wonder why you held onto it for so long. Then there's other times where it's slower, like watching leaves fall in autumn, quiet and gradual, one at a time. A moment of letting go happens, and then there's a pause where nothing seems to change, and you assume that was it. But later, something else loosens, and then again a little more. That kind of release asks for patience with yourself. It asks you to trust that something is still shifting even when you can't see the full shape of it yet. Both are valid, both are real. There is no one correct way to release something. What I've found changes the texture of release more than anything else is gratitude. The kind that comes from really looking at something and saying, "Thank you. Thank you for what you gave me in that time. Thank you for the way you shaped me. I wouldn't be who I am without you, and I'm ready to carry you differently now, or perhaps not carry you at all." That's not bitterness or drama. That's a very mature and gentle form of love. There's a quiet peace in it that can't fully be described. There's a metaphor I absolutely love, because nature is so much more honest about these things than we are. Trees shed their leaves, not because they failed to hold them, not because the leaves did anything wrong, and not because the tree is damaged. They shed because holding on would prevent growth, because the energy that goes into maintaining what's already done needs to be freed for what's coming next. Nothing blooms while clinging to last season. And here's what I noticed when I actually watch trees in autumn. They don't struggle. The leaves don't have to be convinced. The tree doesn't hesitate. When the time comes, the release is complete and natural and even beautiful. There's a wisdom in that I'm still learning. This week, I would like you to take some time to honestly look at your life. What are you holding on to that has completed its chapter? It might be an identity, a belief, an expectation, a relationship dynamic, an old version of a story about yourself. Write it down. Acknowledge what it gave you, genuinely and specifically, but with warmth. And then write these words: I release this with gratitude. Notice what comes up when you write that sentence. If grief or guilt surfaces, let it be there. Don't rush past it. It means it mattered. That's not something to be ashamed of. That's proof you were fully in it. Give yourself patience and care as you continue to identify and release. So that's the end of this episode, and I have to let you go now, but I will be back next week when we explore money and worth more deeply. We learn to understand separating your value from your output and your income from your identity. Thank you so much for being here, and have an absolutely beautiful week ahead.